Together. You got to huddle together to keep warm. Thanks, Richard. Great job. The Obama campaign mantra, of course, was change, and his inaugural address offered a sense of what that's likely to mean for his presidency. New York Daily News columnist Errol Lewis joins us from Washington. Errol, welcome.
Hi, Chuck.
Did he lift us up?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, he does it like nobody else can. He's one of the best orators in American politics right now. He asked people to dig deep and to deal with things like humility, like faith, like patriotism. I mean, and he said that would be the bedrock of the future success of this country. So he issued a challenge to everybody. He didn't put it in exactly the words of John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, but he said, listen, it's up to you individually and us collectively doing the best that we can in order to rescue this nation economically and to restore leadership in the world.
He said to the world, we're ready to lead once more. What do you think once more meant?
Well, the once more, I've been saying this for a while, and I've written about it. Presidents actually get little digs in at the previous administration during these inaugural speeches. And it's subtle, but you obviously caught it, to say that we're ready to lead once more. Well, what the heck were we doing for the last 8 years? And what he did say, in fact, was that we're going to change so that power will be a matter of purpose, and that it will be used with restraint, and that will be our strength. That, too, is a thinly veiled criticism of what just happened over the last 8 years, and in particular, our involvement in Iraq.
You know, you and Obama were born within a year of each other. You both went to Harvard. Did your paths ever intersect?
Oh, no, not personally, although I have friends who were very, very early supporters. My college roommate was from Chicago, so I've been hearing about him for years, and I was one of the first to write about him in New York a little over 4 years ago. He was considered a phenomenon in Chicago politics. But one thing, worth saying, Chuck, and I have written about this too, is that there is a whole generation of us affirmative action babies, if you want to call it that, folks who got Ivy League education. And, he's extraordinary. He's the best. He's the most prominent. But there are a whole lot of people in the private sector. They're running universities. They're moving up through all kinds of different bureaucracies. There's a generational story here about the black middle class that is really worth telling.
Well, let's talk about that later, all right? Errol, thanks. I appreciate it. Stick around if you can. Errol Lewis, New York Daily News. If you could talk to President Obama today, what would you tell him? Email us at hln@cnn.com or call toll-free 877-835-5456.
Now, while the Obama campaign focused on a call for change, the president's inaugural address called for a return to the traditional American values that he called the quiet force of progress throughout our history. New York Daily News columnist Errol Lewis joins us now from Washington. Errol, thank you so much for being with us. We know that President Obama is a gifted orator, no doubt about it. What did you hear? Did you hear what you needed to hear, what you think the nation needed to hear from him today?
I heard what I expected to hear, what would have been missing, and it would have been jarring if it had not been there. Very much as you point out, the President of the United States is the guardian of the American dream. And so he's almost like a priest of our secular religion. So you need to hear it from somebody, and they can't convey it unless they really believe it. So this is somebody who really believes what he's talking about how the American people have within them the goodness and the power and the determination to fix the problems that are crippling the nation right now. And that was the single most important message that he needed to bring forward, and he did it superbly.
Political swiping is not foreign in a lot of these speeches. Did you hear any of that today?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, when he says America's ready to lead again, that's a not-so-veiled reference to the previous administration. When he says that we're going to do our business in the light of day, that's a reference to the secrecy of the previous administration. When he talked about wisely using restraint as a form of projecting power internationally, that's a reference to the go it alone, Army first, armed forces first approach of the Bush administration. So absolutely, it wasn't sharp enough, I think, to really upset anybody. But he definitely indicated, as Reagan did before him, as Carter did before him, that there's been a change in direction, a change in party, a new philosophy governing Washington now.
Let me ask you this. People have put him on such a pedestal. There are such high expectations for him. Do you think that he can live up to the fervor that people have created for him, or maybe how long can he live up to that?
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's actually more of a danger to have low expectations, frankly. I mean, when you see consumer confidence numbers at the lowest level since they began recording those numbers, that becomes an economic and political fact that's very hard to dislodge. So, there's a little bit of magic here. Somebody has to take the first step. if the lenders aren't lending and the hirers are not hiring and people aren't spending, you've got this, the economy goes into a downward spiral. Somebody's got to take the first step. The first step is putting confidence into people's hearts and into their actions. And to that extent, there's really no danger in being too expansive about it. And if people have high expectations and they have higher confidence, the problems will begin to work themselves out. It's a calculated risk, but it's an intelligent one.
Okay. Errol Lewis with the New York Daily News and CNN contributor, also morning show host on a WWRL. Thank you so much, Errol, for being with us. We appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Paulie.
No doubt. President Obama has his work cut out for him, as we were just talking. Also, Iraq, Afghanistan, the Mideast, and, of course, fixing the weak U.S. economy. Some suggestions on how to handle the slump during his first 100 days in office.
Faithfully, the office of President of